Okay, welcome back to the show. I said before, my first guest, he's interviewed more people than I have because this is about our fourth show. Of this series, though. He's been seen on 60 Minutes. He reads the Channel 9 News in Sydney. Please put your hands together for Peter Overton. Welcome, Peter. I think you're our tallest guest so far.
What an honour.
Oh, well,
I've got my heels on.
Have you? I don't know. How does it feel being on that side now? I mean, I don't know if you haven't had this set up before, I guess, with a desk. You're more in a room with somebody, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not mad on being interviewed. I always find that quite nerve-wracking, actually. I'd rather ask the questions than have to respond to questions.
All right, thanks for coming on. Anyway,
thanks for having me. That's the easiest interview I've ever had.
No, that's far too short. You're an interesting guy. I think a lot of people would rather know a bit more about you. You know, you read the news, you're seen all the time, but who are you? No, not getting in that depth.
It sounds like I'm on the couch. Will you bulk bill me?
Probably no. $7 will do, I think, isn't it? Yeah, we can do that. No, actually, you were just saying before we come on that you've been to Letterman. You went to the Letterman show recently in New York.
Yeah, my wife Jessica and I have just clocked up 10 years of marriage, and we've always wanted to go. I went to New York.
So that deserves around 10 years.
That's longest marriage I've ever had, actually.
Yeah.
But, we always wanted to go to New York. I've been lucky enough to go to New York probably a dozen times when I was at 60 Minutes, but I've never done it with the person I love, i.e. the person I want to hold hands with and go and explore the place. You turn up for 60 Minutes, and I did September 11 for 2 weeks. I did all of that, and you are literally working 24/7 on a story like that. But I saw New York through different eyes, and we went to Letterman. We got some tickets through Channel 9, and it was just fantastic.
It's very similar to this, no doubt, with the budget and.
Yeah, really similar. No, you are far. You know, yeah. You leave me speechless.
Yeah, that's you're good. You're good.
You know what? No matter what, it's about a bloke interviewing someone and telling their story, you getting the story, and that's what it's about, whether it's Letterman or Jimmy or yourself. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
They just had a few more bells and whistles, and he probably earned about $50 million more than you do.
Yeah, yes.
How's it going?
You're depressing me now. No, this is all good. It's not about the money. A sturdier desk would be good, though. Hey, actually, your wife, Jessica, she's she's on the show now.
Studio 10.
Did you know I named that show?
Studio 10?
Yeah.
Did you win the competition?
Yeah, I did.
Did they give you anything?
Oh, they did.
NutriBullet or whatever?
No.
A mop?
No. I got a really good telly.
Good on you.
Yeah,
You deserve that.
Yeah, well, no, that's the best thing I own.
Have you been on the show?
I only did accept the TV. That was all. He wouldn't have me on under that. He goes, and I was sitting there the whole time. You know, when you sit there in the audience, you're having all these quick lines. Like, I should say this, but I'm in the audience.
Well, you should become a guest host. They're always after guest hosts.
You could suggest
Why
that
are
to
we
them.
plugging the opposition?
Oh, we're not. I think you just got me a gig.
Okay.
Now, in your job at 60, because we have had Julia Morris on before, and we talked about how you get to meet some of your heroes, people like that. Have you had that situation in 60 Minutes where you're maybe not in awe, but you meet them and then you get down and find out a bit more about them?
Well, Julia is someone I actually did a profile on for 60 Minutes, and I love meeting her, and we've actually become lovely friends since then. People always say to me, you've interviewed all these celebrities, you know, Angelina Jolie, Cruz, Kidman, I can reel off 100 names, but they do not. I'm not in awe of any of them.
Yeah.
I'm in awe of people, and the stories that I remember are people like the late Professor Chris O'Brien, the head and neck surgeon who died of cancer. Paul de Gelder, the Navy diver who was attacked by a bull shark in Sydney Harbour. Nick Vujicic, an Australian who lives in Los Angeles, who was born without arms and legs. Yeah. All the mental health stories that I've done, they are the people that I suppose am in awe of. Because
how do you keep it together? Because you do watch those shows and they tug at the heartstrings when you do some of those interviews.
I see my role as a reporter for 60 as almost representing the viewer, you know, and sometimes you're representing their emotions too. Yeah. And I think the stories where I've really been impacted on, and yes, I've got quite upset and quite emotional, when I'm dealing with young children.
Yeah.
And I remember I've done hundreds, probably a couple of hundred stories for 60 Minutes, but I remember doing a story on neuroblastoma. and that's the worst childhood cancer you can get. And I did a little girl called Olivia Lambert and another little poppet called Sienna. Both have died since I filmed with them, and I'm still involved with the Lambert family and Sienna's family in helping raise money. How can you not divorce yourself from a family, from a little girl lying on the floor in a fairy outfit, age 5, with me lying on the floor next to her, and our cameraman over the top, me conducting an interview, or having a chat, and at last, after 3 or 4 weeks being a fly on the wall with that little one, eliciting her wisdom beyond her years. So I'm just who I am. I think the key for me and my success is being true to who I am, whether I'm on screen or off screen. And that, I think, has stood me in fantastic stead. And my father always says to me, you know, son, you've done so well. You've done so well. You've probably had 2 of the most iconic jobs in Australian commercial television, a 60 Minutes reporter and reading the 6 o'clock Sydney News. But you've never, ever changed. You've always been the boy, the man you are. And I think that is the key to doing well.
Yeah, oh, well done. Hey, I think I have tweeted sometimes when I've watched you do the news and like the fact that you'll do a story and you can see you could say something there, and you do usually have a quick, not an emotional story, but a quick dig of something, or, you know, Kenny says something and, you know, it's addressed. It's not just sitting there reading something.
You've got to be careful.
You've got to be in the moment, don't you?
You've got to be careful that in a news bulletin, that you don't comment on on every story, but some are there for the taking. Because I think it's up to the audience, the people who've invited you into their living rooms or kitchens or wherever they're watching the news. It's up to them to form their own opinion about the story they've just seen. But some, you just can't help making a quip. But they're usually in the lighter stories or, again, the emotional stories.
How old are your kids now?
7 and 5.
7 and 5. Yeah. That's a good age, isn't it? No,
the 7-year-old's like a teenager already.
I was going to say, my 13-year-old is too. He's about to turn 30. My daughter was in here earlier today, actually. She liked the whole thing. I could see her getting a bit involved in wanting to stay around and, you know, helping me do things.
Well, she's proud of it, Dad.
That's nice. It is nice when you see that, because I remember when I was a kid, I'd see my dad do things. He used to play the drums. And I talked to you before. You'd interviewed my dad when you were in Adelaide.
Yes, indeed.
But I remember as a kid, you used to see him play the drums and things like that. And
life was a lot less intense then.
Oh yeah.
As a kid, I remember growing up, and the great joy for us was going for bike rides. With Dad, and he was professor of paediatric anaesthesia at the Children's Hospital in Sydney and worked his guts out, and going to the Central Coast for a week's holiday every year.
What, you rode to the Central Coast?
No. But you know what I'm saying now. I don't know about you, but I find that it's so intense, and all the technology and stuff. Going for a bike ride doesn't even exist now. No, you wouldn't. And then you know we took the kids overseas last year, and they're now asking me when we're going back overseas. I'm going, no, you know, we're going to go back to the Central Coast, where we love. And it's this, just that as a parent, finding that balance and navigating the way. And I think it's a lot more difficult, I find, as I reflect on my childhood, which just seemed to be a lot easier. Yeah,
you're sounding old. You're doing that. You know, that's the other. You get to this point now, you're going, well, back in my day. And my kids, you know what they throw in your face? No. But that was the old days, Dad. Yeah, now we've got iPads.
My Allegra said to me the other day, Dad, we're doing a project on the olden days. Can you get me something from it? I said, oh, thanks.
All right, we've got to take a quick break. We'll be back with a little bit more of Peter after this. Welcome back. I'm joined by Peter Overton. Actually, you said your daughter Allegra. Is that a musical term? Or not?
I think Allegro, was it? Or Allegro. It really means joyful and happiness, I think, in Italian or Spanish or Portuguese. Yeah, it's a lovely name. Yeah. I had no say in it. I remember when I wanted to... Jessica chose the girls' names, Allegra and Giselle, and they're beautiful names, but I wanted 2 different ones.
What did you want?
I love Charlotte, after my mother, and Sophia.
Oh, right. You didn't get the middle names put in?
No, their middle names are after our parents, so Charlotte and Penelope.
Yeah. All right, now, Peter, usually we ask people questions to get what's in this box. So you can get that. You can have that.
Thank you.
You don't even have to get these questions right anymore. Actually, there's one thing I wanted to ask you because of, you do a lot of travelling. If you could travel anywhere in the world at any time, to any era, any place, what would you pick?
Wow. Well,
you know, if you could witness something.
Yeah, I often think of my grandparents and the life they had. You know, they've seen world wars. Yeah. They've seen this incredible revolution in technology, and I think they probably had an incredibly interesting life. Yeah. So I'd probably cart myself back. You know, back. And I remember earlier I said life's too intense, so I think I'd want to go back. Yeah, yeah. Backwards. And own a penthouse in New York. I love New York.
Yeah, it's a great place. It's a happening place.
I covered September 11 there for 60 Minutes. I had 2 weeks there, and it was just extraordinary. And going back there, I went to the 9/11 Museum, and it's just opened, and the memories. It was and the people I met and the heroes, and I went into the pit with a fire company that lost 13 of their brothers. They call them brothers, and I can still remember their names, their faces, everything. Yeah. Anyway. I digress.
No, that was a thing that I guess each generation has a thing where they always go, where were you when? Yeah. That was one where I remember that night being up watching it. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, where was I when I did the Darren Sanders show? Like I was thinking of the day. And
no, you weren't. You were thinking.
That'll be a moment.
I know where you were. You're in New York. Yeah. That's why. Oh, that was a good time. Those New York times.
They were.
I've got a few questions here for you.
Yes, please.
All right, I'll just throw them your way. See if you.
Can I pass?
You can if you want.
Okay, good.
Okay. How many seconds in a minute?
60.
Good. How many minutes in an hour?
60.
How many hours in a day?
12.
What?
24.
I was going to try and get you to say 60 again because I couldn't figure out the
12.
pattern there.
Sorry. Yeah, no, 24.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. I know I win the prize no matter what.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. Do you know what a sexagenarian is?
60-year-old?
Yeah, see, that sounded more dirty than what it is. Yeah. But it's not. It's not dirty at all. That's all. You can keep that now. Do you want to know what it is?
Is that from the $2 shop?
Yeah, it sure is.
I reckon it could be a coffee cup.
It is. It's an empty one, see?
Fantastic,
that can go next to the other coffee cups and
I'll put that on my desk at Channel 9 tomorrow.
That'll be good.
And I will
sip
out of that with great joy.
People will be walking past going, what the hell's that show?
Oh, well, I say you watch it on the 9 network and you'll love it.
There you go. Thank you very much, Peter. Thanks for the plug. I appreciate it. Thanks, Peter Overton, for me. We're going to be back after the break with Giles Hardy talking TV and film.